Hi, and I'm Stephanie, and I've come today to speak about inner child healing. And inner child healing to me has been so transformative, and I didn't even know about it until maybe about a couple of years ago. So I'll give you a little bit of a background of how I got to inner child healing. So I'm a woman that's in recovery for alcohol and drug addiction. And through coming into recovery from that, I went through a really big spiritual journey. And I learned so much about different ways that I can learn about myself. And while I was doing a lot of self-exploration, inner child healing came up pretty prominently for me, which really resonated with me a lot, because I know for me, a lot of my woundings from in my adulthood happened from my childhood. So it made sense to me that inner child healing will help heal those wounds as I experienced as a child, and would help me today as an adult. And yeah, it's been so profound. So for me, growing up as a child, my parents were together until I was 5, and my dad left the family home, which left me and my brother and my mum. And at that time, my mum was struggling a lot. My older brother has severe autism, and I think with the divorce happening, my brother needed a lot of attention, a lot of care. I felt that I didn't bond with my mum very well, and because of her wounds and what she was going through, then I felt a lot of that directed towards me. And so growing up, I kind of felt a lot of like I didn't feel a lot of love. I'd watch my parents constantly fighting with each other, and felt very much in the middle of that. And for me, what I really needed as a child was, a lot of affirming and love and attention, which I didn't get at that time. And growing up, I kind of viewed my mum as somebody who didn't love me, somebody who took a lot of their anger out on me. And it kind of left me feeling as a kid that I was unlovable, unworthy. There was something wrong with me, because if my mother doesn't love me, then I can't be lovable. So growing up in that environment, my mum was very focused on trying to keep herself together, which I realise now. But at the time, I experienced my mum being very distant with me, or getting angry at the smallest things, or if I was to express my emotions, it was kind of met with, I can't deal with this right now, I'm too busy, go to room and play. And so I just felt very shunted. And so I kind of learned over time that my emotions and my needs were not important, and that my mum's needs were more important than mine. So with that learning, I kind of entered secondary school as a teenager, and picked up a lot of people-pleasing behaviours, because I thought other people's needs were more important than mine. And if I can make other people happy, then I will be happy. But if they're not happy, it must be my responsibility to then make them happy, because that's how it was at the time at home. And, I got bullied a lot at school. So then that kind of chipped away at my self-worth. And I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. So with that, like, desperate need to feel a part of, to feel loved and appreciated and valued, you know, people pleasing was my coping mechanism, or a way of trying to feel like I fitted in the world. But doing that, I found I didn't really feel like I belonged or fitted in. But I was trying to fake it until I made it. But it just didn't work out that way. And so step family started coming in, and I felt that with now more people in the equation in my childhood, like my stepdad and my stepsisters, I was kind of getting further and further down the list of importance. And this is just my experience of how I felt from my childhood. And so that again kept feeding into this: I'm not worthy, I'm not important. And so by the time I'm getting into my late teens, I was hanging around with friends at school who then started drinking, you know, just as a bit of a laugh, to escape from whatever, you know. It was fun to do that. And but with the drinking, it felt like it filled a hole that I was feeling every day. And it was almost like it was helping me to put on this mask, and gave me this false security that I was more funny, I was more confident, I was it kind of gave me this Dutch courage to be something I didn't believe that I was without it. And so there was a long period of my life where using substances was my way of trying to fill this hole that I was feeling. And it was in a weird way fulfilling needs in me that I felt like I hadn't got for such a long time through my childhood. But it wasn't just, you know, the addiction that kind of got me, but I was really having trouble in my relationships with people. I felt like being my authentic self wasn't good enough. So I felt like I had to put on a persona, a mask, which was helped by alcohol and drugs. And having relationships, I was finding that I was very drawn to like other drinkers or people that weren't emotionally available. So I felt like I was chasing that love and acceptance that I so badly needed from childhood, but I didn't realize at the time that this was all part of my childhood wounding. So, you know, I didn't know how to clearly access what I really needed. So I would try and get what I needed in quite manipulative ways. So I couldn't outright say, you know, if somebody made a comment to me and say, do you know what, that actually really hurt my feelings. You know, I value our friendship or our relationship and I want to work through this. I didn't know how to say that. So I would end up picking fights because I thought that's what love was. Because me and my mum used to argue a lot, and it was kind of like any attention, bad attention was some attention, you know, because it was better than I'm too busy, go away, sort yourself out in your bedroom. So because I didn't know how to verbalize what I needed and I didn't know how to have healthy relationships, it kept playing out in my romantic relationships and friendships. So as time went on, my addiction started getting worse. The relationships I was having was getting worse. I didn't know, my mental health was getting so bad. because this massive inadequacy just kept coming up and coming up. And the more inadequacy that was coming up, the bigger the mask I had to put on, because I kept thinking in the back of my head, nobody's going to love me for me. I've got to be somebody I'm not to be loved and accepted. And it just snowballed to a place where I had no choice but to just go, I need help. I really need help right now. So I decided to come into recovery, get some help. And that is where I went to AA meetings, CA meetings, met some wonderful people there that really held me and that actually really wanted to help me get better. And I went through group therapy as well. And just hearing a lot of other people's experiences, like the kind of traumatic childhoods that they went through, which created this feeling of worthlessness. And it really kind of got me interested in like thinking, well, we're all kind of wounded children in a lot of ways. But the thing is, you don't have to go through a traumatic experience in childhood to have a wounded inner child. I've spoken to people that, didn't grow up in a world of abuse, but there are some elements there where maybe they might have been, may have had an upbringing where, a parent might have been ill. So a lot of the attention was on the parent, or maybe they didn't have any parents, or, there's anything can disrupt the healthy development of a child. And the thing is, in this day and age, like there is a lot. I don't believe any parent can be perfect at any one time. That's a big ask. And so there are going to be wounds coming up for us that maybe we're just not conscious of. And when I again came into recovery, and I was looking, I think I came across a YouTube video of a lady called Teal Swan, who was amazing. Like, she is so good at explaining like how childhood experiences can shape us, how we deal with things as adults. And I also came across a book which is really, really good, called Homecoming: Reclaiming Champion Your Inner Child by John Bradshaw. And that really goes into detail about your inner child and how to reparent that. And I thought that's a really interesting concept about reparenting, or being the parent to your inner child. So when I was reading about it, and it talks about our developmental stages, like from when we're in a fetus to when we're born, and what is our environment like, what's the relationship with our caregiver at the time, and what needs weren't met from childhood. And the piece that really got me was, how can I meet those needs that weren't met now, today? So I done an exercise from the book, and it said about connecting to your inner child. And I'm still trying to get my head around this concept. And I found a picture of me as a little child. I was about 4 years old then. And so I just looked at that picture, and I kind of looked at her and I thought, she's really cute. Little bunches. And then the more I looked, the more sadness came up, because I kind of realized it's not going to be long until this girl goes through a world of pain. And I allowed myself to feel with her, and I cried. I bawled my eyes out looking at this girl and just thinking about how innocent she is, how beautiful she is, how pure she was. And actually, like, even though I was painfully shy, there was a lot of life in her, you know. And so after I shed a lot of tears, you know, I said to her, like, that I loved her, that I wanted to protect her, that I wanted to do whatever it takes for us to integrate, and to heal whatever wounds that she was feeling, that I still felt, but wasn't really acknowledging. In my conscious, I had to really go deep. So with her, I was told in recovery to do affirmations. And I really struggled with affirmations, you know, I'm worthy, I'm lovable. And I just thought, oh, the thought of saying this to me makes me feel ill. It's icky. Like, it just made me feel so uncomfortable. And so I kind of thought, hang on a minute, this child, instead of, you know, trying to ick my way through affirmations that I didn't believe in as an adult now, why don't I say this to this little girl? That she is lovable. She is worthy. She's amazing. She's spirited, characteristic, like just everything. And so I told her every day how wonderful she is. And by doing that, in turn, because I feel like I'm saying it to her, but it is me. That is me that I'm talking about. And by doing those affirmations, it really started to churn something in me. So that was like the beginning of me having a relationship with her. And it didn't happen overnight, this, you know, kind of confidence and self-love. It was something that, but I made her a promise. I made her a promise that I would never, that I wouldn't abandon myself again, because I spent years treating myself atrociously, you know, pumping my body full of toxins, getting myself into toxic relationships, not listening to my intuition, not walking away from situations that were really devastating to me. But I just thought, if I can just fix it, you know, trying to recreate that loving environment that I so wish I had at home growing up. But I was doing it with the wrong people, but I needed to do it for me. So when I started talking to my inner child and making these promises, something clicked. And I was just like, right, I'm going to start treating her the way I wished I was listened to, I was held, I was loved, as I wanted to at that age. What I needed then, I'm going to give it to her now. So what does that mean? Well, for me, something changed a couple of years ago. And although I grabbed the concept of red flags and not listening to that gut feeling, I didn't realize how disconnected I was to what I actually need in life, or needed from myself, or needed from other people. And I was dating somebody a while ago, and we would get into really deep chats about things. And he would say to me quite often, what is it you need right now? And that was a really strange concept, because not many people, in fact, ever really, over my life, have ever actually turned around and genuinely was like, what do you need right now? And I didn't know how to answer it. I'm like, I don't know what I need right now. And then he's like, that's okay. I was like, that really threw me. And then he would ask me again, like, oh, another time, like, what is it you need? And I found myself getting really frustrated. And I was just like, I don't know what I need. Like, can you stop asking me that? That's the question I've always wanted to be asked. And then when I'm getting asked that, because I didn't know how to answer it, I felt very frustrated. And I'm like, I don't know what I bloody need right now. I need you to stop asking me what I need. But then actually that was a really big blessing in disguise, because then through that frustration, I thought, right, I need to explore this. So I reached out to a beautiful mentor, and we really explored that. And she actually sent me a list of needs, which is, quite a lot. So she said, print that out, and anytime, like, practice it every day. Like, even when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what do you need today? Look at that list, and whatever jumps out at you, that's what you need. And then practice that every day. So I was like, challenge accepted. Okay. So I would look at it every morning, even if I felt like I didn't particularly need anything, but, just to get myself used to, connecting with what I needed. So say if I'm looking at the list and I would jump out at intimacy. Right, I need some intimacy today. I'm asking my inner child what she needs today. And say if intimacy comes up, how do I meet that need? So then I'll think about it. Is there a way that I can meet that? What does intimacy for me right now look like? Is it physical touch? And if I get that like little signal of like that little churning in the stomach of like, oh, yes, please, then I'm like, okay. So then I can just, give myself a hug, or I've got a little rocking chair and I'll just rock and hold myself and just, be so present with myself. Because I know for me, I've spent a lot of my life over busying myself or concentrating so much on other people, because that was part of my people pleasing thing, that I didn't check in with myself. What do I need? And that was such a huge turning point for me. What do I need? And if I can meet those needs, something shifts in me. Something really shifts in me, because whenever you're able to meet your needs right there in the moment, or even if it's not there in the moment, but like putting time aside for myself and go, right, after, like, well, not even after everything's done, actually, before the day begins, I'm putting myself first. I said to her, I'm going to put you first. So I will. And so I'm not going to abandon myself and go, right, well, I'm going to do everything first and then I'll get to me. No, because that's exactly what happened to me in my childhood. No, haven't got time for you. No, not right now. I'm not doing that to myself. I've got to treat myself the way I wished a parent would have treated me growing up. So before anything begins, what does she need right now from me? And I honor that. And if I can't meet my own needs, so say, for example, if I need for connection, I will ask myself, what kind of connection do I need? But she might want to play. She might want, to have a laugh with somebody. So I'll ring one of my best friends who I know I have a really good fun with. And I'm like, let's go, book something in. Let's have some fun together. And then when I meet them needs in that moment, it fills me with joy, because that girl is feeling like, oh, she's listened to me. My needs can be met because I'm worthy of them, because I'm important. And it's powerful. It is so, so powerful. And yeah, so I've got to check in with myself every day. What does she need? What does she need? And then I've got to, you know, if I can still get caught up sometimes in the busyness, you know, good things happen and I want to say yes to everything. And then I know when I've had enough, when, you know, my, when I start to get agitated or something's not sitting right, then I have to, oh, right, I'm feeling that. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not pushing it away. I deal with it now. Right, this is coming up for me. What's going on? And normally it'll be, you're doing too much. Okay, all right. So what can I do? Rest, play, or just be. Get creative. You know, since being in recovery, I've one of the things that was said to me a lot in therapy was feed your spirit and not your addict. And that was drummed into my head. And I was like, what does that mean? But feeding your spirit, I attached to my inner child. So what did she used to enjoy as a kid? I know I used to love acting. I know I used to love being in my bedroom. I played a lot on my own. Mum didn't allow me to go out and play with friends, so I had to entertain myself somehow. So I would spend, you know, I'd listen to the radio and listen to music, hairbrush, you know, doing dance move to the Spice Girls, you know. So I was just like, right, that is their activities that I used to love, I used to thrive in. And I don't do that anymore. So let's bring that in. Let's bring in some of the activities that she used to love and bring it back here. So I joined a friend's acting group and I've done a couple of pantos. And do you know what? I know that that is my inner child's absolute love, because I can turn up to them rehearsals absolutely dog tired. 10 minutes into rehearsals, out of nowhere, I get that energy. I can go on forever because I'm feeding her. I'm feeding her spirit. And so then I'm like, I need to bring in more joy in my life. So then I joined more things. So at the moment I'm in a choir and we're singing like The Lion King at the moment, Circle of Life. Lion King was like my favorite movie as a kid. Like I had that on repeat. So that to me lights me up. I'm like, oh my God, this is like my dream come true. So it's kind of like, you know, are there things that you used to do as a kid? It could be drawing, it could be writing. Like we're creative as kids, you know, we had imaginations that, we had loads of imagination. But then that gets lost when we, you know, kind of go into teenagers because we're trying to kind of discover new parts of ourselves. We've got hormones kicking in. There's a whole, you know, different phase of our life. And then adulthood, you know, we've got to get the job. We've got to earn. We've got to be somebody and we've got to pay the bills. We've now got to be parents. And so all that endless imagination and play and creativity then gets diminished, gets squashed. And we lose ourselves in, you know, I can't tell you how many times I hear from people like adulting is hard, responsibility is hard, being a parent is hard. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Where can you bring in the joy? So like, you know, if your kids want to play with them. You know, if I was coaching somebody recently and, you know, she was expressing about her partner wasn't doing his bloody hell responsibilities around the house. And so I said to her, like, do you feel like you're nagging at him to do it? And she's like, yeah. I was just like, right, well, when you get nagged to do something, like if you remember back as a kid, when your mum's like, tidy up your room or do this or do that, you kind of, it's not really exciting. Do you know what I mean? Like we thrive on game. Like, let's get motivated here. So I said to her, like, bring play into it. So like, if you ask him to wash the dishes, walk by, give him a little hug from behind, maybe scoop some of the washing up liquid bubbles, playfully blow it in his face, make it a laugh, bring the child into even the most mundane chores, you know. And then she's like, all right, well, what about cutting the grass? I'm like, well, you know, make it into a game. Like, okay, I bet you I can, because it's infectious, right? If you're like, right, I'm going to mow the lawn, I bet you I can finish before you can finish the hedges or something. Even if your partner might turn around and be like, what's she on about? But there's something infectious about bringing child energy, getting excited about something. It naturally, you know, it may happen quite quickly, it may not. But you know, and feeling pleasure and excitement, bring it in, you know. So anyway, I feel like I'm kind of getting to no, I'm not going to say sorry. Actually, I'm really excited and psyched to be talking about this. This is my adult brain coming in now, going, you need to be, you know, talking about something else. But anyway, but a couple of exercises, because working with your inner child isn't easy. It can actually bring up a lot of really difficult emotions. So I wouldn't, if you feel that your wounds are too raw, I would really suggest going to see a proper therapist or counselor or whatever suits you, and go and sort of talk through that. But with the coaching that I do, I take you on a journey. So it's kind of getting to explore your inner child, connecting with her to begin with, you know, kind of getting used to that concept and idea of who your inner child is and what she needs, how you can meet them moving forward. But when I not only connected through my inner child through picture, but I used to do a lot of inner child meditations as well. There's loads on YouTube that you can get stuck in with. And I know for me, when I done meditations, my inner child, I, you know, felt with my third eye, she was very closed off from me. She didn't want to sort of run up and communicate with me. So I had to create a safe environment for her to connect, you know, because I abandoned myself so much in trying to please other people by doing all the things. So I needed to create a sense of trust. So, you know, how am I showing up for myself in my normal day, you know? How am I abandoning myself? So how many times have I been feeling emotions that I'm trying to shun away? Haven't got time. Or am I saying, like, what am I feeling right now? Let's explore that. You know, being true to my word, like boundaries are a huge thing for me that I had to really work with, because I was terrible with boundaries, terrible. Being a people pleaser, that's part of the thing, right? Anything you need, I'll go, despite whether I want to or not, I will, you know, please you. So I had to check my boundaries. So, you know, where are your boundaries? And it's not just with other people, but it's the boundaries you have to yourself. So, for example, I could think to myself, right, tonight I'm going to treat myself to a really lovely home-cooked meal, really healthy, all the veggies with a little bit of comfort, love a bit of cheese. So, you know, and then later on, I could be like, oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered. I'm just going to get a takeaway. I haven't honoured my word. I haven't fed her the way she asked to at the beginning of the day. So I'm not being true to my word. Or I'm going to have a free day today, a me day, where I get to do what I want to do. And then a message will come up. Do you fancy going for a coffee? Or I need to meet you, or blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going, oh, okay, I'll meet that person. Okay, I'll go and help them with the thing or whatever. Before you know it, my free day's gone. That's me abandoning myself and not being boundaried with me. I'm very good at that now. I really had to work hard on that. So, you know, kind of have a think in your, like, even now, like, where are you abandoning yourself in your day-to-day life? And the thing is, it can be so you have to be really conscious about these sort of things, you know. You know, how do you respect yourself? How do you talk to yourself on a daily basis? Are you always telling yourself like, oh, you know, you look fat today, you look ugly today, oh my God, you sound so stupid when you said that, you can't do this, you can't do that? Like that, I can't tell. Like that girl, you know, because it's basically the way I talk to myself now is reaffirming what I was, you know, told as a kid. I ain't playing that. No. So I've got to be really careful with how I talk to myself. Even coming on to do this live, I was really nervous, and I'm like, what if people don't get anything from this? And what if it doesn't sound professional? And, you know, what if I just waffle and it doesn't make any sense? And I'm like, it's okay. Whatever comes out is absolutely fine, you know. And I had to really calm myself, but actually talking about it's really energizing me. And that is a huge one. If you feel energized by something you're doing, you're connecting to your inner child. And, you know, how do you support yourself? How do you hold yourself through emotions? Do you, again, shun them? Do you ignore them? Or do you allow yourself to feel them and be compassionate and question, like, what's coming up for me right now? Like, if you imagine your inner child or a child running up to you crying, would you go, like, you know, just imagine, like, what does it feel like to go, no, not right now, not listening to you right now? Or how does it feel to go, oh, like, come here, I'll give you a hug. What's the matter? Tell me all about it, you know? And that is how I have to treat my emotions as and when they come up, with, like a child would come up to me, whether they're angry, sad, disappointed, lonely, not feeling worthy. How can I meet them emotions that my inner child is feeling? And how would I want to speak to a child that needs that love? So I know that my time's coming up. So I kind of want to wrap it up with this. If you're feeling like you're struggling to feel your emotions, to listen to them, or even understand why you feel the way you feel, maybe certain behaviors that are coming up that that you want to change, like the way maybe that you communicate in the relationships around you, or struggling to feel your emotions, or you know that you've maybe got some distracting behaviors or addictive behaviors or suppressing behaviors that you know are really holding you back in life, being held back by fear, feeling like you can't express yourself, and that's really eating away at you, then inner child work can really help you connect to that part of yourself and learn how to be that loving parent to you. And when you're able to hold yourself in your emotions, in your day-to-day, your communication naturally changes. When you're meeting your needs, then more of your like loving, positive emotions can come up through that. Because it's like, when a kid comes up to you and they're like, mum, dad, dad, like when you're just like, yeah, 1 minute, they're still going to poke at you. But the moment you turn around and say, yes, babe, what's up? They voice. And then when you've given them their 100% presence, they're happy, aren't they? And then they run off and do their own thing, And that to me is how I handle my emotions, no matter what they are. Be present. But yeah, there is a lot more depth into inner child healing, and it can really start to pinpoint where the unmet needs are, what the unmet need is, how you can meet them now, and how having them needs met can, how you can express those in your relationships around you in a really healthy, loving way. And it can really help bond relationships again. I've worked with clients that have said that their relationship has really blossomed, that kids that had a really disconnecting relationship, they've now actually connecting again. They're actually sitting around the dinner table and having a loving conversation because of the inner child work that she was doing. I've had a client that has really had a lot of understanding and clarity around the unmet needs and the met needs, and now feels a lot lighter and understands a lot more about his emotions, and now he can hold them better, he can communicate them better, and thus people he doesn't feel like he's pushing people away or getting angry and not understanding why. He's actually experiencing closer relationships, but not from the outside, but to himself as well. And he says he's feeling a lot more whole in himself, which is incredible. Shifts have happened, healing has happened, and I can't shout enough about this. I think it's one of these things, I find it hard to explain, but unless you've gone through it, because it's so personal to each person, you have a different experience. But if you want to reach out to me, if you want to talk to me about how I can help you with your inner child journey, I have a Facebook page called Lion Key Life Coaching. And I'm setting up at the moment a 6-week course where I can spend a good amount of time guiding you gently through the process and have a really transformational start to your life. I just want to thank you so much for those who are watching, and thank you for my inner child who always is with me and always lets me know what I need, what I desire, what to follow, what not to follow. And I just have so much love, and I'm sending so much love to all your inner children. And I'm really looking forward to connecting with those who want to go deeper with their journey. So I'm going to send much love, and have a lovely rest of the weekend. And I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.